Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to Stinchfield, the podcast. Man, I will tell you what, Democrats are scrambling. I mean, they have big problems, to say the least. And so what are they going to do? They're going to get rid of Joe Biden? Who's responsible for the cover-up? We know the mainstream media refused to tell you what we were telling you for the last 5-6 years, that Joe Biden is a dementia patient, that Joe Biden has had the mental decline of a nursing home patient, probably faster than most nursing home patients. Who is behind that mental decline? Who is behind the cover-up of the mental decline? Well, none other than Kamala Harris. I think she was running point for the cover-up of the mental decline, and now it looks like all evidence is leading back to Kamala Harris that she will be the one who picks up the torch and runs against President Trump. Now, in many respects, this is good news for President Trump. I think Joe Biden's the number one guy he can beat, no doubt about it. But if there's a close second or someone who could be even more easily beat than Joe Biden, it's going to be Kamala Harris. She's a ding-dong. She's an idiot, and she will be exposed on the campaign trail as a ding-dong and an idiot. We're going to go through some of the sound bites of high-ranking Democrats calling out Joe Biden, something I never thought I would see. The days of covering from him are over. They see the writing on the wall that President Trump is making his way towards the White House once again. So we're going to go through all of that. Stinchfield 1776, of course, is the place to visit the social media outlet, GrantStinchfield.com. And then I want you to pay a visit to, folks, to my friends over at the Wellness Company. This podcast is brought to you by the Wellness Company. If you don't have prescription medications in your house as part of your emergency preparedness plan, you are leaving your family vulnerable. It is this simple. I don't need to say any more. Get these prescription medication kits. Wellness Company can help you out. No doctor is going to send you 10, 15 different prescriptions. The Wellness Company will, and you'll have them on hand. TWC.health/grant. TWC.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off, and I promise you, you will not regret it. The Wellness Company is getting it done. All right, let's get this show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, folks, welcome back to the program, GrantStinchfield.com. As I mentioned, here's what's interesting. Is there anybody out there willing to defend Joe Biden now other than Jill Biden and Hunter Biden? I don't think there is. How do I know no one is out there to defend Joe Biden, as this is the guy that we want to take us to the promised land once again for another 4 years in the Democrats' mind? Because they know he's toasted. They know he's done. They know he's burnt. Toast. Crisp. Not happening. He's burnt out. He's burnt down. He's the worst. This is Shannon Bream, Fox News Sunday. They wanted someone to come on and defend Joe Biden, but apparently wasn't going to happen.
Now, before we get to our guests, I want you, the viewers at home, to know something. Our team has spent days reaching out to dozens of lawmakers and Biden advocates and allies. We've had numerous interactions with the Biden-Harris campaign. But not a single potential guest was either able or willing to join us on today's show to defend the president and his decision to stay on the ticket. So we will be having a conversation without that voice, which we have been working around the clock to avoid.
All right, so without a voice to defend the president of the United States, the Democrats are lost, folks. So how did we get to this point? Joe Biden bullied his way in. I believe early on, Barack Obama, when Hillary Clinton first ran against President Trump, Joe Biden wanted to run. Barack Obama said no. He bullies his way in. And, you know, the way the Democrats operate, they set the whole race up for him, but they've got to cover up that he's in mental decline. They think he's, old Joe, Mr. on the block Joe, Mr. sit at the bar Joe, Mr. everybody's friendly guy Joe. Well, he's not. He's a grumpy old man who's bitter, angry, and has real mental problems. Now, who covered for Joe Biden? Kamala Harris did. She's culpable in the position where the Democrats are, and in many respects, her covering for Joe Biden didn't just put Democrats in a bad spot. Her covering for Joe Biden put Americans in a bad spot. We now have a commander-in-chief that is a national security risk thanks to Kamala Harris, and now Democrats want to hand her the reins. She couldn't even finish in the top 5 of Democrat candidates when she was running for the presidency in that primary. Now they want to hand her the reins. You want proof that she covered for Joe Biden? Just watch this.
We have a very bold and vibrant president in Joe Biden.
But a majority of Americans, a majority of Democrats, according to our new poll, say they don't want President Biden to run again. What do you say to them?
I mean, George, I think that age is more than a chronological fact, to be very frank with you. It's about thinking about whether we have in our leader, which we do in Joe Biden, somebody who is bold. I mean, think about it. And in Joe Biden, we have a president who is probably one of the boldest and strongest American presidents we have had in his response to the needs of the American people. But he is an extraordinary leader, and I wish that people could see what I see, because there's only one person who sits behind that resolute desk.
You're 58 now. If you win a second term, as you and the president are running to do, he would be 86 at the end of it. The Wall Street Journal had a poll showing 2/3 of Democrats say Joe Biden is too old to run again.
Yeah, everybody thinks Joe Biden is too old to run again. But she defended him over and over and over again, calling him bold. What is bold about him? There's nothing bold about him. He's led our enemies run wild across this globe, from Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin to the nuclear missile tests out of North Korea and Iran. You've got just absolute despair on the world stage when it comes to what's going on. And that's thanks in large part to Joe Biden. And we got there because of Kamala Harris saying things like this.
Are you prepared to be commander-in-chief?
Yes, I am, if necessary. But Joe Biden is going to be fine. And let me tell you something. I work with Joe Biden every day. The work that under Joe Biden's leadership our administration has accomplished is transformative.
Two very prominent Washington Post articles today talking about President Biden's age, and that's a big concern among the young voters. And in growing poll numbers, that's a big concern. Are people right to be concerned about his age at this point?
Well, let me just say this. When I talk to these young voters, what they want is a leader who is in touch with the problems of today and has a vision for what we can do today and in the future to deal with it. President Biden is the first president to take on in any substantial way the issue of the climate crisis.
Oh, give me a break. Joe Biden is the first president in the history of the United States to literally be dementia-ridden and quite possibly suffering from Alzheimer's. You can't remember anybody's name. He had a very bad moment again over the weekend.
And I want to thank you for, I said, Bishop, it's good to be home. And please sit down.
Folks, just that right there. He's not going to make it. Democrats know he's not going to make it. So what do? They start to march out their very top Democrats, people like Adam Schiff, who were some of the staunchest allies of Joe Biden. They realized they couldn't get President Trump out of the way with the lawfare. They couldn't get him out of the way with the impeachment process. They couldn't get him out of the way with imprisoning him. I do fear the only way they're going to get him out of the way is if they try to kill him. And the Secret Service better be ready for that. They couldn't get him out of the way just by beating him fairly and squarely. So now they realize that all hope is lost with Joe Biden. They need somebody else. Listen to Adam Schiff on Meet the Press.
President, but you can only run so far ahead of the president. And so obviously Joe Biden is going to need to consider for his own sake and his own legacy, can he beat Donald Trump? He's the best to beat Donald Trump. But also the profound impact this decision, maybe the most important of his presidency, will have on the House, on the Senate, on the future of the country.
You know, Congressman, when I talked to Democrats, one of the exchanges that frustrated the most from that interview on Friday was when he was asked what happens if you lose. President Biden said it's about whether he gave it his all. Is that what it's about? Is that answer satisfying to you?
No, that is the answer that most concerned me as well. This is not just about whether he gave it the best college try, but rather whether he made the right decision to run or to pass the torch. That is the most important decision for him to make right now. This is about whether this country remains a democracy, whether we veer off into some kind of pseudo-dictatorship.
You see how stupid they sound? Honestly, this is the dumbest argument ever, this idea democracy is under attack. If anybody is attacking our democracy, it's these idiot Democrats. If anybody acts like a dictator, it's Joe Biden and his executive actions that are destroying this country. And yet, here is Adam Schiff, and this is stunning, folks, to talk about Joe Biden's answer about doing his best is not good enough. Well, of course it's not. Anybody that's running for the presidency says, I've got to win. I'm going to win at all costs. There's no other option but winning, not I'm going to give it my best and let the chips fall where they may. That's not the answer. That's not the answer if you're running for president. It's not the answer if you're going into the Super Bowl. It's not the answer if you're going for a preseason game. What you do is you say, we're going to win, and we're going to win at all costs, and anything short of winning is not good enough. That's not what Joe Biden said the other day. So now you have guys like Adam Schiff really laying the groundwork. And it appears that all of the focus is coming back to Kamala, and I believe it's because of the money. They've got $200 and something million cash on hand in the Biden campaign coffers. That money can't go to anybody else. I do believe you could make an argument it could go to Kamala Harris. You could make an argument it can't go to Kamala Harris. But I don't think you could make an argument it could go to any other Democrat but Kamala Harris. So that is where I think they are with this money, and they know that the money is a big play in all of this, and so they're sticking with Kamala. Not to mention the Democrats have bet the farm on the diversity, equity, and inclusion mantra, which means if they skip over Kamala Harris, they will piss off their entire base. They know they can't do that, which is why this idea of Gavin Newsom, I don't think it's going to come to fruition. They can't get a handsome white guy to come in and leapfrog the dopey black lady. And that's what she is. She is dopey, by the way. So Kamala Harris will be the first diversity, equity, and inclusion president of the United States if, God forbid, she was to beat President Trump, which I do not think she is capable of doing. Now, this cat Axelrod has come out. He's a big advisor to the Democrat Party. You know who he is. I'm going to play for you a clip of him now, also basically sinking Joe Biden. But before I do that, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is where I want you to go. I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I've got 2 different networks on this phone, 2 different lines. So when I was in New York, my T-Mobile line worked better than my Verizon line. So I went with the T-Mobile number in New York. This is a fabulous deal. Also, if you're a business owner, you can have your business line coming in and a personal line coming in. You can switch between the lines. Super easy. 2 lines, 1 phone. It's called the Patriot One plan. 1 phone, 2 lines. I urge you to go to Patriot Mobile and check it out. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Here's the other reason. I want you to spend money with companies that believe in the things we do. This is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They wear that description as a badge of honor, and you should see the media come after them for it. If any company needs our support, it most certainly is Patriot Mobile, and you're not going to give up anything, not price, not service, not anything. In fact, you're going to gain on customer service, 100% U.S.-based customer service, and the folks there are so easy. I know the management team at Patriot Mobile, and they're doing a great job. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code GRANT for free activation. 972-PATRIOT. You tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. Okay. So let's go now to David Axelrod, who I told you is also pitching the idea of getting rid of Joe Biden. This is really bad for Joe, as Jill Biden apparently is going nuts over all of this.
It's just there are certain immutable facts of life, and those were painfully obvious on that debate stage. And the president just doesn't seem to he hasn't come to grips with it. He's not winning this race. he's more likely, if you just look at the data and talk.
Wait a second. Did you hear what he just said? He's not winning this race. When David Axelrod is telling you the sitting president with a D next to his name is not winning the race, when Adam Schiff, the liar, most scandalous member of Congress, when you think about all things that he's been involved with trying to push Donald Trump out through the lies and weaponization of Congress and the government, they're trying to get Joe Biden out. Stunning.
To people around the country, political people around the country, it's more likely that he'll lose by a landslide than win narrowly this race.
I told you that President Trump is going to win by a landslide. If David Axelrod is telling you Joe Biden will lose by a landslide, I'm going to tell you something, folks. He's going to lose by a landslide. Now, here's the only thing. They can't overcome this election with cheating when we start including states like Nevada, like Pennsylvania, like, you ready for this? New York. If New York goes to President Trump, as I expect he has a good chance of winning, I don't care how much they cheat in none of these swing states, it's over. It's the equivalent of if the Democrats have won Texas. It's over for Republicans. We can't win. Democrats win Texas. If Republicans win New York, it's over for Democrats. So this is why they're so concerned. They know President Trump's swamp the vote plan, meaning get everyone out, win states you didn't think you were going to win. They can't beat him by cheating because they can't cheat enough. There's just no way to physically do it. I know that sounds crazy, and I know you're going to tell me, Grant, don't say that. Yes, we got to keep an eye on everything. Yes, we got to make sure because there's no guarantees on these states, but it's certainly going for us in the right direction. So why does he say Trump will win in a landslide? Well, here's some of the polling that's out as of this weekend, thanks to our friends at Fox News.
New polls from the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, CBS, and CNN show former President Trump leading President Biden between 2 and 6 points as voters express concern over Biden's cognitive state. Voters are also aware of his record, which includes inflation up better than 19%, energy skyrocketing nearly 36%, spending mainly due to $7 trillion in new spending and borrowing. His open border policy has meant more than 10 million migrants illegally entering America.
So all of this, let's just look at the graphic that Fox News had put up. Bidenomics overall inflation up 19% since 2021. You got 20%. That means the cost of goods and services is up 20%. If you paid $100 for it back in 2021, you're paying $120 for it now. Green energy agenda. All energy is up 35%. That's your gas, diesel fuel for trucks, natural gas to heat your home, all of these things, heating oil. New spending, $7 trillion. Well, what do you think drives inflation? Government spending drives inflation. The Fed interest rate is still at 5.25%, which means to buy a home, you're still looking at 7-8% to buy a home. Nobody can afford that. Illegal border crossings we know all about, and we know China continues its war on all of us through its espionage tactics, stealing American secrets, and the like. All of this has continued under Joe Biden, and yet Kamala Harris wants us to believe that somehow this is bold. And yet, what do they do to us? They lie to us. Over the weekend, Kamala Harris went out on the stump, and she came through with literally the worst projection you can imagine. Like, literally, even the dumbest Democrat can see that Kamala Harris is projecting. Here's a tip, dude. I just called all of you dude. I'm sorry about that. Here's a clip. Here's a tip. A clip, a tip, whatever. Here's a tip. If the Democrats are blaming Republicans for something, you better believe that's what Democrats are doing. It's that simple. If Democrats say Republicans are guilty of this, the reality is Democrats are guilty of it. The amount of projection coming from the Democrat Party is insane.
This is probably the most significant election of our lifetime. You know, we have said it every 4 years, but this here one is it. We are looking at an election that will take place in 122 days.
122.
Where on one side, you have the former president who is running to become president again, who has openly talked about his admiration of dictators and his intention to be a dictator on day one, who has openly talked about his intention to weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies.
What? What have the Democrats been doing? Nothing short of weaponizing the criminal justice system against all of us, and they consider us enemies. Now, I still consider Joe Biden and Kamala Harris political foes. I don't want them dead. I don't want them ill. I just want them to lose. That's it. They want us dead, folks. They want us in prison. They want us to hurt. I just want them out of office, never to be heard from again, okay? Now, those that have committed crimes against America, those that have broken the law and have gone outside the bounds to hurt any one of you, those people need to be prosecuted. But that's not weaponizing the justice system. That's using the justice system to go after criminals. What do the Democrats do? They go after these J6ers. Some of them maybe needed a little bit of a slap on the hand, but not this 3-4 years in prison. Not having to await trial for 2-3 years, arresting more of them, grandmothers and grandfathers who walked through the Capitol. I don't even think it was trespassing. You see the Supreme Court threw out this obstruction of an official proceeding charge used against what? All of those J6ers to put the screws to them so they would settle, so they wouldn't get a felony attached to them, that they would settle for 3 months in jail, 6 months in jail, whatever it may be, when they never should have served an ounce of time. They're the ones that did this. And you all know what's happened with President Trump. From the civil cases to the criminal cases to the classified documents to the special counsel, all of it has been weaponized to stop this man. And the American people are onto it, and they are fed up by it. And that's all of you, which is what is so amazing. I'm watching this groundswell of support for President Trump happen from people I never thought it would come from. And I'm seeing this happen before my eyes, which again, it gets back to New York's in play. Nevada's in play. I always thought Pennsylvania was lost because they do some really dumb things, like voting Fetterman in, even though he's a better Republican than Mitch McConnell half the time. And voting for Barack Obama, voting for Joe Biden, not giving the White House to President Trump. Pennsylvania's been a disaster. But again, it seems like things are changing in cities like Pittsburgh, of all places. Why? Because minorities know they were used by the Democrat Party. So Kamala Harris has to come out and say, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to imprison all of you. No, that's what you did to us. We don't operate like that. And we don't go after everyday folks. We only go after the criminals, the head of the snake. The head of the snake. Now, did Kamala Harris do anything criminal? I don't know yet. I can't tell you. I know Joe Biden has done criminal things. Joe Biden 100% is engaged in criminal activity, him and his family. There's a Biden crime family for a reason. I know it. Okay? Kamala Harris, I don't know it. But if I find out that she did, then she needs to be prosecuted. There are many others inside the administration. I believe Jack Smith is engaged in criminal behavior. The special counsel going against President Trump. I believe that the prosecutors, Alvin Bragg and the prosecutors in Georgia, the Lovebirds 2.0, I believe they, from what they have done with their DA's offices, have engaged in criminal behavior with the manipulation of evidence, and I believe even concocting of witnesses. They need to be penalized criminally. If you didn't act as a criminal, if you just acted like a jerk, I'm not going to prosecute you for that. We'd have to put every Democrat in prison. It was just acting like a jerk made you go in prison, but that's not how Democrats think. Every one of you, if they perceive you acting like a jerk, you better believe they think I'm a jerk. They want us in prison. Now, you want to hear a little crazy story? I'm in New York City over the weekend. I go up to visit my folks. We go down to see the Yankees, and they beat the Red Sox on Saturday, 14-3. That rookie Rice had 3 home runs and gave a great game. Anyway, before the game, I'm getting a little fresh squeezed juice just to up my energy. And who's standing behind me? George Stephanopoulos, okay, from ABC. So I turn around. I think it's him. He's all sweaty in a jogging outfit. I said, "Are you George?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "I'm Grant Stinchfield. I hammer away at you all the time." And he says, "I know you do." And I said, "Oh." I said, "Well, that was a hell of an interview you did with Biden." I said, "What a disaster. I don't even think it was your fault. It was just a disaster again." And he shrugged his shoulders. He didn't want to engage with me, George Stephanopoulos, but I thought of all the people in New York City that I would come in contact with. George Stephanopoulos was the guy, and I should have asked him a question. And, this is what separates the great influencers on social media apart from a guy like me. I'm taking the day off. I'm with my sister, my son. We're going to the Yankee game. I didn't want to take out the phone and ambush interview him. I should have, I guess. But I wanted to say, what was the deal with Joe Biden? Was it to prop him up in that interview that he did on Friday? Or was it to sink him? Which was it? What was the goal of the interview? I should have asked him because there was a goal. And he would have had the answer. This was part of that interview.
I understand that. I understand that's why you want to stay in the race. But have you convinced yourself that only you can defeat him?
I convinced myself of 2 things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done.
Know how to get things done. Yeah, you know how to fall. You know how to stumble, mumble, and bumble. You know how to do all of those things. The last thing you know how to do is get anything actually done. All right, folks. Well, just to recap here, Kamala Harris is responsible for the cover-up. She was the plot leader of the cover-up of Joe Biden's incapacity as a mental thought leader whatsoever. Joe Biden's mental decline was covered up by Kamala Harris, and she led the media to cover it up as well. She needs to be held accountable for that, and instead of that, they're going to give her the reins to run for the White House. Absolutely lunacy to me, but that is what they're going to do. And so I think Kamala Harris is going to be their pick. I really do. If Joe Biden decides to step down, I don't know how he doesn't, with the groundswell of Democrat support for Joe Biden to get out of this race. Be interesting. All of this lets President Trump sit back, gain strength, and get ready to gear up to run against whoever he's going to run against, because I think he is literally destined for the White House. That's what I truly believe right now. Maybe I shouldn't think like that. Maybe it's not a good idea to think like that, but I do believe it is destiny for President Trump to be 47th president of the United States. All right, folks, don't forget my friends over at the Wellness Company. Again, prescription medications need to be part of your emergency preparedness plan. Speed of delivery is everything. If drugstores are shut down, natural disaster. Hey, look, Texas has a hurricane coming in here. All these things happen, cyber attacks, and you can't get prescription medications for your kids. You're out in the cold. Make sure you have food and water. Make sure you have power. Make sure you have ammunition, and add prescription medications to the list. The Wellness Company can help you. TWC.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT, and I promise you, you will not regret it. 10% off. Use that promo code. TWC.health/Grant. And again, my website is GrantStinchfield.com. GrantStinchfield.com. Stinchfield 1776 on all the social media platforms. We will see you on the Real America's Voice show Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I so appreciate all of you watching. God bless every single one of you. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you. We'll see you back here very soon.